Hello and welcome. Today, we journey back in time to a pivotal moment in modern history, a story of strategy, courage, and a nation's unyielding spirit. We are talking about the October War of 1973, a conflict that reshaped the Middle East and restored the pride of a nation. This isn't just a story of battles and tactics, it's a testament to what a united people can achieve against seemingly insurmountable odds. The year is 1973. A palpable tension hangs over Egypt.
Ho, ho, ho!
6 years have passed since the crushing defeat of the 1967 Six-Day War, a period marked by a deep sense of national humiliation and the occupation of the Sinai Peninsula. The Bar-Lev Line, a formidable chain of fortifications built by Israel along the eastern bank of the Suez Canal, stood as a constant, taunting symbol of this defeat. It was considered impregnable, a sand and concrete fortress designed to repel any assault. But in the hearts of the Egyptian people and their leaders, a quiet, resolute plan was taking shape.
Ho, ho, ho!
The desire for redemption was not just a whisper, it was a gathering storm. Under the leadership of President Anwar Sadat, Egypt embarked on a path of meticulous and clandestine preparation. This period was known as the War of Attrition, a low-level conflict that kept the front active, but behind the scenes, something much larger was unfolding. Sadat knew that a direct military victory might be difficult, but a strategic blow that shattered the myth of Israeli invincibility was achievable.
Ho, ho, ho!
The plan was codenamed Operation Badr, named after the Prophet Muhammad's first victory in 624 AD. The name itself was a powerful symbol, invoking faith and the belief in divine support for a just cause. The Egyptian military underwent a massive and secretive overhaul. Training was relentless and innovative. Soldiers spent countless hours practicing how to cross the Suez Canal, a formidable water barrier. They built exact replicas of sections of the Bar-Lev Line in the Egyptian desert and practiced storming them again and again.
Ho, ho, ho!
A young engineering officer came up with a brilliantly simple yet revolutionary idea, using high-pressure water cannons to blast through the massive sand ramparts of the Bar-Lev Line. They tested this method in secret, discovering they could carve a path for tanks and troops in a matter of hours, not days, as Israeli intelligence had estimated. Simultaneously, Egypt engaged in a masterful campaign of deception. Sadat repeatedly spoke of peace while preparing for war.
Ho, ho, ho!
Military exercises were announced and then publicly cancelled to create a sense of routine and lull the Israelis into a false sense of security. They leaked false information, suggesting that their equipment was in disrepair and that their soldiers were demoralized. They even made public announcements about sending officers on pilgrimages to Mecca. On the eve of the attack, the Egyptian High Command made it seem like just another training drill. The deception was so effective that when the moment came, the world, and most importantly the enemy, was caught completely by surprise.
Ho, ho, ho!
October 6, 1973. It was Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, a day of fasting and prayer when Israel would be at its most vulnerable. It was also the 10th of Ramadan, a sacred month for Muslims. At precisely 2:05 p.m., the silence of the desert was shattered. Over 200 Egyptian fighter jets streaked across the sky, striking Israeli command centers, air bases, and communication hubs deep within the Sinai. Simultaneously, a thunderous artillery barrage from 2,000 guns opened up along the entire length of the Suez Canal, pounding the Bar-Lev Line fortifications.
Ho, ho, ho!
This was the moment. The plan, years in the making, was now in motion. Under the cover of this deafening symphony of war, the first wave of Egyptian commandos crossed the canal in rubber dinghies. Their mission was to neutralize the Israeli observation posts and create breaches for the main force. As they landed on the eastern bank, a powerful, unified cry rose from thousands of throats, Allahu Akbar. God is greatest. It was a cry that echoed across the water and sand, a declaration of faith, defiance, and the beginning of the reclamation of their land.
Ho, ho, ho!
It was a sound that struck fear into the hearts of the surprised defenders and bolstered the spirits of the advancing troops. Then came the water cannons. The Egyptian combat engineers unleashed their secret weapon, firing powerful jets of water from the canal itself to demolish the towering sand walls of the Bar-Lev line. The sand and concrete barriers that were supposed to hold back an army for days simply melted away in hours, creating dozens of passages for the next phase of the assault. It was an incredible feat of engineering and ingenuity, executed flawlessly under fire.
Ho, ho, ho!
With the breaches open, the real crossing began. Amphibious ferries and newly constructed pontoon bridges were quickly deployed, and a flood of Egyptian armor and infantry poured into the Sinai. Tanks, armored personnel carriers, and thousands upon thousands of soldiers surged across the canal. The speed and scale of the operation were stunning. Within just a few hours, nearly 100,000 Egyptian soldiers had crossed the Suez Canal and established a solid foothold on the eastern bank, overwhelming the thinly spread Israeli defenders.
Ho, ho, ho!
The supposedly impregnable Bar-Lev line had been breached and overrun. The initial Israeli counterattacks were disorganized and piecemeal. They had severely underestimated the Egyptian army's capabilities. Egyptian infantry, armed with new Soviet-made anti-tank guided missiles, like the Sagar and Strela 2 anti-aircraft missiles, created a formidable defensive umbrella. Israeli tanks and planes, which had dominated the battlefield in 1967, now found themselves incredibly vulnerable.
Ho, ho, ho!
The images of burning Israeli tanks and downed jets became powerful symbols of the changing tide of the war. The Egyptian soldier, once dismissed, was now proving to be a determined and effective fighter. In the skies, the Egyptian Air Force, while facing a technologically superior opponent, fought with courage, providing crucial air support for the ground troops and challenging Israeli air dominance. The roar of jets and the concussive blasts of tank fire filled the air.
Ho, ho, ho!
It wasn't just noise. It was the sound of a carefully orchestrated military machine moving forward, the sound of a nation reclaiming its honor. Victory was in the air, a tangible feeling that spread from the front lines back to the streets of Cairo and every village in Egypt. Within days, the Egyptian flag, a symbol of sovereignty and pride, was raised over the captured Israeli positions along the Bar-Lev line. The most iconic image was the raising of the Egyptian flag over Qatar East, the first Sinai city to be liberated.
Ho, ho, ho!
Soldiers, who moments before had been locked in fierce combat, now embraced, wept, and celebrated. Their joy was immense, a cathartic release of years of pent-up frustration and a deep sense of accomplishment. They had done the impossible. They had crossed the canal. They had broken the Bar-Lev line. They were victorious. While the war would continue for 3 more weeks with fierce battles and shifting fortunes, the initial success of October 6th had already achieved its primary goal. It shattered the myth of Israeli invincibility and restored Egyptian and Arab pride.
Ho, ho, ho!
The war ultimately led to a ceasefire and paved the way for the Camp David Accords in 1978, which resulted in a peace treaty and the return of the entire Sinai Peninsula to Egypt. The October War, or as it's known in Egypt, Harb October, is not just remembered as a military conflict. It became a cornerstone of modern Egyptian national identity. It stands as a profound symbol of what can be achieved through unity, meticulous planning, sacrifice, and unwavering belief. It showed that with courage and ingenuity, even the most formidable obstacles can be overcome.
Ho, ho, ho!
It was a moment when Egyptians, from the highest general to the common soldier, came together for a single purpose and changed their destiny. The victory of October 6th is a day that lives forever in Egypt's heart. It's a legacy of bravery and hope passed down through generations, a reminder that the will of a united people is the most powerful force of all. It's a story that continues to inspire, a testament to the enduring spirit of Egypt. Thank you so much for joining us on this historical journey.
Ho, ho, ho!
If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please hit that like button, share it with others. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.
Ho, ho, ho!